Before this video begins, I would like to apologize for the lack of content over the past few months. The hard drive I've had, which contained all the recorded audio and videos, failed and I've lost hundreds of gigabytes of content for the PSO2. Luckily, the project that I have been working on for the past few months was saved, so that's good. Thank the Holy Light for backups. Anyway guys, after a bit of a hiatus, we are back to bring you guys some of our speculations for what the future holds for the Western port of Phantasy Star Online 2. The question we'll be doing our best to answer in this video is the age-old timeless question which has been locked in the archaeological tombs of the gaming industry for years. And that question is, where on earth is Phantasy Star Online 2? And to be completely honest with you guys, we don't know. I don't think anyone does, but we can sure do our best to find out. Through months of research and talking over Phantasy Star related topics with anyone who would bear to listen to me, I have done my homework in the attempt to answer any questions that you may have. So we got a lot of stuff to cover today guys, so let's get to work. Our research is going to begin in September of 2012, during a convention you may know called PAX. It was during this event where Sega finally made their debut. And no guys, it was not Hatsune Miku for the PlayStation Vita. It was Phantasy Star Online 2, playing in English and looking pretty damn good too, I might add. While this was only a small demo featuring a tiny portion of the game, it doesn't take a game developer to realize that besides the voice acting and a few bug squashing, there isn't much more work that needs to be implemented. At least not 3 years worth. So why did Sega delay Phantasy Star Online 2? If the game was near complete, we should have been playing this game years ago. And in this video, we're going to completely disregard the possibility of the game being cancelled because at this point, I don't feel like it's a possibility anymore. It almost feels as if Sega the company realized something, like they foresaw something in the future which will hinder the development or even the lifespan of Phantasy Star Online 2. So they shelved it until further notice for some reason that we just don't understand yet. Or do we? That September of 2012 was the last time that we would see or hear anything on Phantasy Star Online 2's Western development. At least until we heard something that didn't exactly confirm Phantasy Star Online 2, but it did give us a little bit of hope. In late 2013, we heard that a company who goes by the name of Relic Games will be picking up the Phantasy Star Online 2 project. For those who aren't familiar with Relic Games, they're a subsidiary of Sega who primarily focuses on the development of PC-based video games such as Company of Heroes, although some of their games have been known to release on console as well. To follow up with these rumors, Relic Games posted a job listing which added more fuel to the fire that we're more than likely going to see Phantasy Star Online 2 released sooner rather than later. The job listing was in search of someone who would be willing to pick up an existing MMO project which originated in Japan. The individual would also need a firm understanding of the Japanese language. While yes, there are a lot of Japanese RPGs, how many of them do you think would be suitable for Relic Games, a company who has been acquired by Sega earlier that year? I could really only think of one candidate. And you know, it's funny. I've been covering Phantasy Star for a while now, doing my best to not only provide information on the franchise, but keeping fans' hopes up, to keep alive the dream that one day we'll be able to play Phantasy Star once again. Now I rewatch a lot of my old videos, and I've made a lot of crazy theories and ideas, but the next bit of information that came from Sega made me realize that I've been looking at this whole thing the wrong way. That Sega didn't cancel the game, they weren't being jerks. And they most certainly weren't giving up on their fanbase. This bit of news came and I actually kind of felt bad. I had to take a step back and realize that what they were doing may not have been them ditching the Phantasy Star franchise. It might have been Sega's attempt to save the franchise. Way back in 2013 when Phantasy Star Online 2 got delayed, Sega did notice something. And no, it wasn't to release a Sonic game, even though that's kind of totally what they did. They realized that Sega as the company was dying. July 30th, 2015. It was on that date that news broke that Sega was downsizing their company and relocating to Southern California, a decision that Sega was forced to make in order to keep moving forward. The internet has always said that Sega was dying and they needed to make changes if they wanted to stay alive. And while this was obvious to the fans, no one understood this more than Sega. Sega has seen this coming from a mile away. Heck, I wouldn't be surprised if this has been in the works since before PAX of 2012 when we saw Sega in the first place. It's always been kind of obvious, and Sega never gave any details why Phantasy Star Online 2 has been delayed, but now all of a sudden it kinda makes sense. I mean, like, what were they supposed to say? Like, hey guys, our company's not doing too well. It's gonna take a couple of years, but we're gonna relocate our company and then we'll get back to working on Phantasy Star Online 2. But don't worry, we'll be back in about 3 or 4 years and you'll have it then. No, of course they wouldn't say that. It would make much more sense if Sega were just to keep their mouths shut and spoke about Phantasy Star Online 2 when they were ready. And you know what? That's kind of exactly what they did. May 5th, 2005. It was on this date that Sega has made an announcement that for the first time, they will not be having a booth at E3. They did speak briefly about their plans for the future. Over the next months, Sega of America will be focusing on the restructure and relocation to Southern California, and we have decided to not attend E3 with our own booth this year. With the majority of our bigger titles launching later in 2015 and 2016, particularly those from our AAA studios Relic Entertainment, Sports Interactive, and Creative Assembly, we are concentrating our efforts for some major announcements after our relocation. End quote. Now, at first glance, that would seem like they wouldn't have announced Phantasy Star Online 2 even if they did attend E3. However, there was a little detail they left in. Relic Entertainment. Now, this is the first time that Sega has spoken out about Phantasy Star Online 2 in years. And while they weren't directly referring to Phantasy Star Online 2, and there is that small chance that Relic Games could be working on something else, I will put my money on it that we'll be hearing about Phantasy Star Online 2's Western release sometime this year. Now, it's gonna be tough if you think about this. How would Sega make up for this? I mean, after years and years of delay, how does Sega just announce a project that has been lost in time? Would they, just release it? Actually, that'd be pretty funny. I could see Sega, they would be all like, hey guys, it's been a long time, but here it is. Phantasy Star Online 2 is now out. Download it and play right now. Now, actually, that's how I can see them doing this. Out of nowhere, it'd be like, I don't know exactly when, but I think it's completely possible for Sega to be like, hey, here you go, and a bomb will just drop on us. I mean, metaphorically speaking, of course. That'd be crazy if Sega starts dropping bombs. We have enough problems in the world right now. But let's look at the facts, guys. In 2012, Sega has shown us a gameplay of Phantasy Star Online 2 running in a demo in full time. And in late 2013 and early 2014, Relic Games was said to be working on the project to have picked it up. And guys, if there's one thing that's known about Phantasy Star Online 2, it's that the game is pretty much done. It's literally just waiting for someone to flip that virtual switch and then unleash itself upon the world. And with that said, Phantasy Star Online 2 could be released literally any time. While I believe that Sega would want to build up some hype for this game, it's completely possible that one day we could just wake up and Phantasy Star Online 2 for the Western regions in English would be released. And I'm really looking forward to that day. Anyway guys, I'm Joseph from the PSO2, and as Guardians do, stay strong, be patient, and maybe one day that Psycho one might just drop for you. Thanks for watching, guys. Anyway guys, I'm Joseph from the Phantasy Star Online tube. That's awkward. To follow up with these rumors, Relic Games posted a job listing. Voice crack. Blech. Here, I'm just gonna